the Hearing. I'm John.
And from Chicago's North Side, I'm Scotto.
And without any further ado, on to this week's album, which is from 2025, Forevercloud or The Machinations of Change by Eth Eonel. This is another indie artist who I know from Threads. Eth Eonel is the pseudonym of Norwegian singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist Kenneth Uvred Holter, who describes his music as alternative pop with prog, jazz, and metal influences. Forevercloud or The Machinations of Change is his 10th studio album. The Bandcamp description for the album says, quote, "This album was written during 5 whole years from 2016 until 2020 and delves into the question, can people change? It continues what I've called my signature, quote, blunt yet hopeful realism, unquote. Forevercloud or The Machinations of Change was released independently on November 27th, 2025, self-produced, and features Kenneth Uvred Holter on almost all vocals and all instruments, with additional musician Thanis Tsiniris, additional Greek chant on Sky Parade Forevercloud. Apologies if I mispronounced anything. Reminder, I don't edit any songs into our reviews for copyright reasons, but on our blog at johnandscotto.wordpress.com, you'll find links to Forevercloud or The Machinations of Change on Spotify and Bandcamp, so you can follow along if you'd like. Track 1, Sky Parade Forevercloud. Love the reverb on the chanting. All of the vocals on this album are beautifully recorded.
Yeah. I mean, he hits some, I mean,
Oh, yeah. And this is one of those cases where I think of someone as the artist name instead of their real name. Of all the people other artists I know on Threads, some I think of by their real name, Reva, who I don't refer to as Fireside Shadow. Others I think of as their artist name. Kenneth is one who I think of by his artist name, so I'm going to be referring to him as Eth from this point forward. He has an incredible voice.
very much like Dave Gahan, I'd say.
Oh, yeah,
At
okay.
least in this
Mm-hmm.
Depeche Mode,
Yeah.
especially when he's on the lower register.
Yeah, definitely. Love the polyrhythms when those keys come in. Nice slow build of instruments. Really nice groove once it gets to the verse. Beautiful vocal melody.
I love how he goes from like this new age intro and then,
Mm-hmm.
kind of kicks in with the guitar
Yeah.
sounding keys. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming it's mostly synths and
Yeah.
keys.
The bass is real on a number of songs. Loved the tone on the bass.
I was wondering about that.
Eth is a great bass player. Love those distorted guitars that come in about halfway through, and they really lift the arrangement. I
Yeah.
think that's a mix of distorted synth and actual guitar. He does play guitar. He's
Okay.
critical of his own guitar playing. I was gonna hold this off for the ending, but all the other artists I interact with on Threads, good people. I respect them on a human level, of course. But as a musician, I respect them all as musicians, of course. But Eth, I respect the most. And he's the one who blows my fucking mind on the regular. He's an incredible musician. So I was beyond blown away when he covered my song Breaking Point. So I'm glad we're getting around to his music. But he's just his musicality is mind blowing. And then just the number of instruments he plays. Great dynamic choice to cut out those guitars coming into the next verse and just drop the dynamics down a bit.
Wasn't too sold on the keyboard horn kind of solo.
It was unexpected. I thought it was interesting. It was
True.
obviously a synth, not an actual brass instrument.
It's unexpected, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it was necessary.
Yeah. Like that when it gets to that last chorus, it's just the distorted guitars and brass, no drums.
Yeah.
And he just holds out
And
this great last note.
damn that note to finish it.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably the best note on the album, of course, but it's just, yeah, it just is like, oh, wow. Okay.
Track 2, where do you get it from? I'm going to quote a Threads post from Eth about this one, at the beginning of this one. The impulsive nature in me made me press the submit button to release a single from my still in progress album Forevercloud, obviously, when it's still working on the album.
Yeah.
It's called Where Do You Get It From? And absolutely single length, 3 minutes. But I have countered this one positive trait with starting the song with a 1 minute drum intro with Steve Reich style phrasing. Steve Reich is a composer, and ending it with a half-minute outro that leaves 1.5 minutes of song, which is one verse and one chorus. So, in other words, the perfect single. Um, it starts with
I
this
love
drum
that
loop.
intro.
It starts off very straight, and then I'm guessing it's the same loop doubled, and one is just gradually moved off time, and it gets insanely chaotic.
Yeah.
I appreciate the audacity. I deeply respect the choice. It is a bit hard to listen to,
Oh, I loved it. I was like, okay, I'm definitely on board with this.
but at its most chaotic, this mellow synth fades in, and then the drums come back to normal. Great vocal melody, great groove once it comes back to normal. Love the bass part. Love the line, your opinion in flux. We all agree that it sucks, but where do you get it from? And then it suddenly goes minor, and we get this nice instrumental ending with these killer bass fills.
Vocally in this, it's almost a rap at
A
this
little bit,
point,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah. Because he's cramming so many
Yeah.
concepts into his
Mm-hmm.
lyrics, just challenging us and daring us to look them up, which
Mm-hmm.
I had to do. I normally
Nice.
don't in these reviews.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, when someone's dropping this much on you, you have to
Uh-huh.
like, okay, wait a minute, what is he really talking about? Because it's hard to get that when you're
Yeah,
just listening to something
right, of
casually.
course. Track 3, Mayflower. Great groove on this one. This is when I was dancing to. Love the bass tone. Of course, I love all of the electric piano. Great chorus melody. It reminds me a bit of a mix between Bill Wirtz and Neil Morse. I
Okay.
know Eth is a big Spock Spirit fan. We've talked about that.
I keep wanting to say Steely Dan, but I'm not
Okay, I get
sure
that
how
too.
accurate that
Yeah,
is.
Bill Wirtz
Okay.
rips off a lot of Steely Dan, so that's probably a better analogy than Bill Wirtz.
I haven't listened to that much Steely Dan, but
Mhm.
the little bit I have, it kind of,
Yeah,
any major dude, you know.
it's sort of
Um,
like jazzy pop rock.
Right, right. And it always fascinates me when someone zeroes in on a word or phrase and just writes a whole song out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayflower, it isn't an odd word in meaning,
No.
a flower in May, whatever. But in sound, it kind of is, three
Yeah,
syllables of just the simple one word, then the two. It, it just, it works.
yeah, yeah.
It is one of the stronger songs on the album.
And then it goes to this kind of moody outro because most of the song is very upbeat and very major key and very happy. Then it gets moody at the end, which I loved.
And yeah, going with this theme about just the nature of change
Mm-hmm.
and how you know there's a beginning and an end
Right.
and just or is it really a beginning and an end?
Yeah.
Things just go on without us as they went on before us.
I await the Mayflower. It's that that point in the seasons where things are getting better,
Yeah.
which is interesting from someone from Norway because I don't imagine it gets terribly warm there. Never been,
Oh,
but I
it's
just have this image of it being perpetually cold.
all the torment that that I gave Mrs. Scotto before I'd gone to Canada myself.
Uh, well, it depends on where you are in Canada, but
Of
you know,
course, yeah.
a large portion of Europe, particularly that part of Europe, is on par with like northern Canada, if not slightly above.
It is strange to think that we're kind of at the same latitude as like the Mediterranean,
Yeah, pretty much.
We think of the tropics
Right.
in Europe.
Yeah, there's this perception of with Americans where, like, if you draw a straight line from New York, you'll hit it. London? No, London's way
Right,
north,
right.
and Scandinavia's a bit north of that. Track 4, that April Kid, though, I had to give you a bit of a warning about the beginning of this one.
I don't know. I don't know. It might have been. I don't know how I would have reacted if I wasn't aware that was coming.
It starts with this young child screaming. Um, I know Eth has a daughter. I don't know if he has any other kids. I'm assuming it's his child. Um, I had to pull out my earbuds. It's kind of ear piercing. I'm just glad I knew it was coming.
It's kind of like a guitar, you know?
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It kind of has that grind, that scream to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or like James Brown. I when I had this gag with like, you know, really young kids when they would get into that like shrieky, whiny thing, and I'd start singing James Brown back to them, and they'd be like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
But he gets experimental again, at least at the beginning of this one. Actually, kind of all the way through this one. Um,
Yeah,
he starts speaking in Norwegian. Presumably, he was talking to his child. Um, and then the music kind of fades in. Really nice contrapuntal pianos. A slow groove when the synth bass and drums come in. Beautiful harmonized wordless vocals.
yeah, it's almost Gregorian,
Yeah, yeah,
chant sort of thing with this good noisy groove under
yeah.
it. I'm picking this one for my
Oh, nice.
strongest, I think,
Um,
is it's uh it's kind of what I signed up for.
and we get this transition with the piano, and then bass and distorted guitars come in. It kind of turns rock, but we still have this soothing harmony in the vocals.
But yeah, listen to James Brown get up off of that thing, and he makes kind of these same shrieking kind of noises that the kid makes.
And then somehow it still builds, but I'm not sure what's being added.
Right. It just kind of goes in a circle, and it just yeah.
Track 5, Dead as Stone, opens with this slow piano. Beautiful piano sound. I'm hearing a lot of overtones. I don't know if it's a synth patch that's doing that or if it's just so well recorded that I'm getting all these extra notes in there. Um, love the bass tone when that comes in. And then suddenly there's this funky drum loop. Great groove. Kind of unexpected on a song called Dead as Stone.
Well, it's I guess like a meditation on perspective,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and but I mean, I get it, I respect it, but it's like the thought of vegetables having feelings. It'll just lead to madness, like
Yeah.
if the stone and the lava,
Uh,
have feelings too, what the fuck can we do?
right. Um, but it's almost 2 minutes before the vocal comes in.
Oh yeah.
There's some really interesting harmonic choices in the verse. Nice slow down into an odd time signature for the B section chorus. I don't know what you want to call it. Um, Picks up for the next verse, but keeps the odd time signature, which is a great choice. Because it kind of reminds you of the last verse, but it's a little bit off kilter from the last time you heard it. Um,
Right.
and ends with the slow, soft piano again, right back where it started. Track 6, Munition. Great opening groove. I like the claves. Great organ sound, like total John Ward. Uh,
Yeah.
of course, I love a spoken vocal. Great piano riff. Um, the groove is really off kilter, but it's not odd. Like it's a four, but it's a very off kilter four. Nicely done. Um, the keyboard that comes in when he starts singing kind of overshadows the vocal a bit, I think.
It does. It kind of creates this whole dreamlike atmosphere to the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, once I looked at the lyrics, I was like, oh, like it really was working in
Uh-huh.
tandem with it. I mean, a- and normally, there's nothing wrong with the contrast if you're, level terrace apart kind of thing,
Right, right.
dynamic that we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have all these concepts that you're putting into your lyrics, it's really hard to like find music that really accompanies that.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he does it here
Yeah.
because it is just this whole dream almost,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Track 7, The Catalyst of Unreason. Don't have a lot of notes on this. It's just a bunch of polyrhythmic synths and drums. It
yeah.
all somehow falls into a groove when the vocal comes in. Um, there's this really menacing harmony in the second section in the vocals, but yeah, that's about all I have to say about it. It's a short song, just shy of 2 minutes.
Yeah. I kind of like the shortness, the shorter ones better,
Mm,
just he does like these little sketches, and really kind of blows your mind, and then he's off to the next one, you know?
And most of them are short. The title track's a bit long, but he fits 11 songs into 41 minutes. So it's,
Right,
he
right.
doesn't, unlike a lot of prog artists, he doesn't do usually long songs. He keeps them pretty much single length, which is interesting.
And normally I am the king of the long songs.
Mm,
But but yeah, here I really like the sketches that we're
yeah.
getting.
Track 8, Take My Hand. This is my pick for favorite. Great groove. Love the bass tone. It's just vocals, piano, bass, and drums. Reminds me a bit of Bill Withers, the piano part. Um,
Mm.
Really nice harmony in the vocals and the verse. Love the melody in the chorus.
And that's just him singing that on his own,
Yeah,
right?
the only other musician was on the first track with the Greek chant.
Just layered out.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, I've been listening to some Level 42 again recently, and this
Okay.
reminds me a lot of it. I
Oh,
mean, it's
I
like
need to
he's
listen to some
singing
level
both.
42.
It's like he's singing both Mark King and Mike Lindup's part without the
Uh
crazy falsetto, of
huh.
course.
Yeah.
But and even the bass has a very Mark King kind of feel to it, I think.
Mm. Then we get this nice jazzy instrumental break. Love how high the bass is in the mix.
That's just the kind of thing they would do. They would have this kind of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sappy pop kind of love song, but there would just be this, crazy
Mm-hmm.
jazz fusion kind
Yeah.
of vibe running through it.
Track 9, The Unbearable Lightness of Your Feelings. That low, distorted synth is a bit intense for me.
Oh yeah. This is probably the most Depeche Mode he
Uh huh.
gets.
Yeah, yeah. But I like how it's moving around the spectrum, sonic spectrum, left to right. Um, Nice vocal melody. Love how complex the timing gets when the drums come in. Nice complex build to it. Great vocal harmonies. Losing that low synth in the B section was very appreciated. Love the spoken ending.
And this is only 2.5 minutes, but
Mhm.
it could very well. It's like a whole epic was crammed into it.
Yeah, yeah. Track 10, Whatever Makes You Smile. Interesting mix of electronic percussion at the beginning. Nice melodic piano part offsetting it. Um, I think I hear a plane taking off, and I mean in on the song, not here.
Oh yeah.
Um, there's this ascending whining sound. Sounds like something taking off. Great bass part. Love all the reverb on the vocals.
Yeah.
Great melody. And me saying I like reverb is it's a weird thing because I lived through the 80s. I was a hair metal kid. I heard way too many reverb soaked drum kits and guitars. I normally have a very low tolerance for reverb, but it worked for me here. Um, Great melody. Um, I had very mixed feelings when all of that chaotic electronic percussion dropped out. Like it was nice to get a break, but I liked it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, the bass and the beat on this one
mm,
is really good. He sings this one a bit higher
yeah, yeah.
than the rest of the album. It's a good change. I almost
Mm.
thought he had another vocalist for a second.
I love how he brings back that chaotic percussion as sort of punctuation to the vocal melody. Um, and I just noticed how jazzy that piano part is at the end because that's the only time when you can really hear it without anything else going on around it.
Right.
And finally, track 11, Never Ending. This one starts with just vocals, bass, and piano. Really nice vocal melody, great bass part.
It sounds like a doghouse bass, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
it has that kind of rich feel to it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if it's a synth sound, it's a really good one, but then you say he really plays bass,
Well,
so he
he
may
uses a
actually.
mix of synth bass and real bass, and I don't remember offhand which this has. But his bass has a great tone. Great groove when the drums come in. Love the rhythmic flow on Forever Never Ending. He just gives it this nice syncopation. Also, the repeated never endings get really nicely syncopated.
I mean, it's an obvious closer, maybe a little too on the nose with the whole
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
never-ending
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
but it does make a great bookend,
Mm-hmm.
about the thought of what happens after we're no longer here and how everything was before us and how it's going to keep going on after us.
Mm-hmm. So, do you recommend it?
I do. There was so much to go through. It's 3 listens was not enough,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Of course, I recommend it. Like I said, if never fails to blow my fucking mind with all of his music because he's just a beast of a musician. Um, and he somehow manages to merge that incredible musicianship and that ridiculous avant-garde progginess with beautiful pop sensibilities.
Right. Yeah, the other singer I was thinking of sometimes was Barry Manilow, actually.
Oh, wow.
So it is kind of like a cross between Dave Gahan. But then again, you could say Gahan is kind of like a dark Barry Manilow himself.
Okay, we're just going to a weird place there.
Well,
That's
yeah,
it.
that's where we were.
That's it for Forevercloud or the Machinations of Change. Until next time, when we'll be reviewing Siamese Dream by Smashing Pumpkins. Always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.